King Frank
and the Knights of the ecoquest. King Frank and the Knights of the ecoquest. King Frank and the Knights of the ecoquest.
Episode 3, The Binstone Challenge.
No one could remember, as the years had flown, the last time anyone lifted the bin from the Binstone. Everyone was surprised that royal assent had been given to such a forgotten event. The crowds poured in and filled the streets to watch the knights attempt the feat. Many gambled away with a nightly bet on Catrain, Alf or Leofrick. The knights took their positions facing the bin for the Binstone blessing bestowed by their king.
Kneel, goodly knights of the Binstone test. I pray with this challenge you'll be truly blessed. Arise quickly now, as I don't wish to get kneel dents in my roll carpet.
The knights rose from their knees. They stood side by side and pondered on what the bin might have inside.
It was centuries ago when others did try to approach the Binstone and lift the bin high. It is said that whoever will raise up the bin shall inherit whatever they find within.
What could that be, fellow knights? What could be in there that could change our lives?
What I would like to find if I lift it up is a goodly poodle pup.
If I lifted it, all said and done, I'd like to find a single ticket for a carriage ride out of the kingdom.
Could be a stash of gold, riches untold.
Could be more junk like out here, covered in mould.
The knights ignored them and readied their limbs for the challenge ahead and the hope of a win. King Frank signalled the trumpets and horns and sat back and relaxed with a box of popcorn. Princess Aqualine watched on, biting her nails, concerned that the knights might this challenge fail.
Come on, good knights who answered our call. Draw on your reserves and give it your all.
The knights took their turn to lift up the bin. Leofrick was first to take a step in. He tried from the bottom, he tried from the side. He hugged and he pulled it with arms open wide. The crowd gave a cheer, then oohed and then sighed. King Frank shook his head.
Oh my. Can't expect a mere troubadour poet to succeed. They only write poems and get drunk on mead. Knight poet, show us your mighty pen push.
Don't put him off, father. Stop it. Hush, hush.
Leofrick then made his shoulder rigid and forced it under the giant bin lid.
Oh, I can't watch this breathless endeavour. Raise the sacred bin, the poet will never. Come, Knight Alf, take your turn at the bin. Prove to your friends you're not a night chicken.
Alf wasn't sure and looked back at his mum, who was shouting out something to do with Alf's bum.
My mum said my osteopath said I shouldn't try to lift on my own, as I've wobbly weak thighs.
The crowd booed and hissed and threw rotten fruit, which dripped down the front of Alf's chainmail suit. Catrain egged him on and shook her right fist, but as Alf Bin Budge struggled, he sprained his left wrist.
Step aside, weakling, and let's see if Knight Catrain can secure the quest through the kingdom's terrain. Catrain, are you a match for the bin?
Come on, Catrain, for your princess win.
Catrain pressed her back well into the bin. She summoned every ounce of her strength within.
Put some muscle into it, give it some welly!
But Catrain's legs were turning to jelly. She attempted a push, a lift, and roared with all of the energy she could afford.
Move! Move, you bin!
You've moved nothing. The bin shall remain always on that stone. Your attempts failed. Return to your homes.
Catrain wasn't going to just walk away.
My king, hear me out. The legend says only one must challenge the bin. But here's the thing. One can mean a task with one accord, meaning three can do one thing. I swear by my sword.
Ooh, a new interpretation of the tradition. Pray, councillors, is there truth in Catrain's rendition?
The councillors communed and discussed the notion and agreed the proposal Catrain had motioned.
Then if three is one in one accord, and you move the bin with whatever it's hoard, you shall be knights of the ecoquest. You'll be on board.
Like a wrestling tag team who'd entered a ring, they eyed up their opponent, the Binstone's big bin. To the cry of the crowd, they made a slow spin around the circumference of the fat bin. They hoped to unravel it just like a screw, but their faces turned from red to blue. They collapsed in a heap.
I rest my case, your knights are too weak.
But, Father, what's more important, the bin or the quest?
I will never give up on the Binstone test. Your knights are useless. We can't spend the time on a weakling, a softy, and a purveyor of rhymes.
The knights were dejected, forlorn, and worse. How could Leofrick write of such things in his verse? Of failing the princess and themselves too. They were all in a self-defeating stew.
Look, we can't sit around feeling all's lost. We must help Princess and Kingdom at any cost. We believe in ourselves, so let us invest. Our belief we're the ones for the ecoquest.
So you're suggesting what? How can we proceed?
Princess Aqualine. She'll be our lead. We'll secret a message to her today and receive her blessings to go on our way. While we are away on the ecoquest, she'll persuade the king it's all for the best.
King Frank will come after us in the very next hour and lock us away at the top of the tower. You know I'm not very good with heights, and that room up there hasn't even got lights.
Look on this. Any knight of worth should agree. We'd be carving our place out in Frankdom's history. Whether charged with treason or even sedition, more important is the questorial eco-mission. To save the kingdom and its people too. We'd be remembered as heroes. That's what knights do.
The princess received the message that night by a pigeon Catrain sent on a postal flight. The princess replied to the venturous three and rejoiced in their spirit and loyalty. She agreed to meet them the very next morn at the castle gates just before dawn.
Good knights, go forth. Find the lost ancient pure fountain of Frank, and the kingdom and I will bestow our thanks. With climate change upon us now, you will surely to the elements bow. Extreme weather may quell your quest. Make sure you take gloves, long pants, and a vest. Remember your mobile reception will fail as you venture on the forest trail. Go quickly now, lest you are seen. Prove yourselves for your Princess Aqualine.
We are loyal to you. On we three you can bank, to find the lost fountain of Frank.
Our journey shall not be in vain. Mark my words, you'll never fall sick again.
I told my mum that to you alone I am loyal, as I think you're the coolest of all the royals.
The quest began at the break of day. Princess Aqualine waved them away. Catrain saluted and touched her heart, while a nervous Alf let out a fart. Leofrick vowed to do his best and compose a poem about the quest, but in less than 2 ticks, Leofrick frowned.
Listen up, I can hear the king's horses and hounds. Perhaps the king's wise to our new plan. All our efforts are undone. The quest's over before we've hardly begun.
Oh, he'll have our guts for garters, or worse, perhaps. Are they still using those torture racks?
As they galloped at speed, they could still hear the sound of horses and horns and barking hounds. And as each of the horns were repeatedly sounded, the knights thought their position would soon be surrounded. The shouts of soldiers were heard all around.
They've split up. They're upon us and making good ground. A grant of our freedom cannot be assumed. We'll be tried for treason. Believe me, we're doomed.
King Frank and the Knights of the ecoquest is a soundscape production for fun kids, supported by the Audio Content Fund.
King Frank and the Knights of the ecoquest.